Yo, throw up them S.A.M gang signs, boys. It's episode 10. Welcome to the experience. It is a super special episode today, boys. This is our special 10th episode, which means we are going to be answering all of these beautiful postcards that were sent in to us last week and this week.
Woo!
But before we get into that, it looks like there's a little bit of beef.
Oh, where's the beef?
A little bit of beef.
Where's the beef?
We have a whole cow we're just frying in the middle of this podcast right now. A little bit of beef, he says.
I am jittering with excitement today, boys. I am hyped.
Sam, why don't we just jump in? Let's hear this beef.
All right. So, some of you viewers, right? You guys are all familiar with camping, the activity known as camping, right? You grab a couple of friends and family, or maybe even go on your own, and you head out into the great unknown, the wilderness, and you hang out for a couple of days. Then you come back. Well, some years ago, Max, myself, and a couple other friends, we had decided to go on a camping trip. And I mean, this was during like a heavy year. You know how it is, man. You got a lot of work to do that year, a lot of school, a lot of this and that, and you're just looking for a release, some time to chill with the boys. And that was gonna be this camping trip, right? Now, it was the older you get, the more difficult it is to get everybody in one spot for a camping trip, or any kind of trip, really. But our goal was to get as many people as possible on board with this trip. There was one problem. A friend and I, we both worked at the same place. And we had the same job at that place. Matter of fact, depending on the point in time, we were the only two at that job who worked that job. So we both couldn't get the same days off, right? But that's fine, because occasionally there were some days where neither of us needed to be there. So long as the trip fell on that day, there was no problem. Now, tell me, Max, what happened then?
So what I did was I was like, yo, I'm going to schedule this trip. I'm going to do all the scheduling because all of you are just garbage at scheduling anything. So I scheduled a day and I was like, here, we're doing it this day. And Sam went, can't fire. I can't take off of my minimum wage job where they don't appreciate me.
Okay.
And they're probably selling drugs out of the back.
First and foremost,
to go with the boys.
the guy who was selling drugs was he's not
Found
around
in the
anymore.
river.
But second, and more important, well, Max, what happened?
Sam, this trip was a catastrophe. You literally dodged a bullet.
Oh, no.
First off, there was 6 of us going, right? We had 2 tents. We had this old tent that I used to have, and one of our buddies rented a tent from a military compound, right? My car can fit 5 people. Not very comfortably, but it can fit 5 people, right? And with stuff in the back. Another one of our buddies took his minivan, so the load was lessened, right? But that buddy had to work that morning, the morning after the first night we went camping. So he was going to leave, filling the car up with just a ton of people, right? My original plan was we weren't going to do any cooking at this campground. We didn't bring any cooking materials because we were so close to so many food places. Well, of course, everybody was like, we gotta cook. Well, we don't have any cooking material. So they go and get hot dogs and hamburgers and tinfoil, and that's the only thing that they have to cook. Oh, and bacon, by the way, which they gave themselves food poisoning by eating the bacon and the beef because it wasn't cooked all the way.
Oh, no.
Anyways, that's not even the worst part. The worst part was I was sleeping underneath the window in my tent. It was so balls hot outside that I left the window open. The 2 people that I was with in my tent didn't sleep at all. They stayed up the whole night, right? They just stayed up the whole night doing God knows what.
Playing patty cake?
And guess what? A freaking hurricane came and it started pouring. And it poured for 2 hours on me, and neither of them woke me up. So needless to say, I woke up and I was completely drenched, wet from head to toe. Then, all of a sudden, the guy who was supposed to leave is like, yeah, I'm going to leave now. After just letting me sit in the water for 2 hours, 3 hours. They thought I was awake and I was just doing that on my own fruition. So he left, leaving all 5 people to go into my car, which can barely fit 5 people, with all of the stuff we brought. So the next day, they give themselves food poisoning by trying to cook bacon with just tinfoil and an open fire in a freaking hurricane. So it's not looking very good. There's a game store that they want to go visit on the way out. On the way out, one of the guys has food poisoning. And guess what? The game store doesn't have a bathroom, and the closest bathroom is like a mile away. So I have to drive him to the bathroom and sit in the parking lot until he's done. And the only redeeming quality of this whole trip was the great story that came right from it, and I got to listen to Life of Pablo in a Royal Farms parking lot for an hour. Probably it was more like a half an hour. But that was the trip. So, Sam, would you rather have made money at your minimum wage job or gone on this trip?
Well,
sitting on probably someone's lap on
so
the
you're
hour
saying,
ride home.
would I rather have been stuck at my job making minimum wage in a hurricane, or would I rather be cuddled up with the boys having a good time? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
You know I gotta choose the boys every time.
So you could have just called out sick.
No, I couldn't call out sick.
Why do you have such loyalty to a minimum wage job that didn't pan out?
What do you mean did it pan out? That job panned out for me.
How did it pan out?
Because, dude, I got to meet all kinds of people. They were all very cool, very nice. That job took care of me,
life
man.
experience.
And so you think taking off 2 days because you were sick would cause... Because you would have been sick from eating all those fucking uncooked meats. Was not... It would have got you fired and you would have never met any of those people?
Not fired, Max, but look, all I need, bro, if I work weekends, all we have to do is put the trip on, you know what, not a weekend.
But I couldn't go... I put it on the weekend because I was organizing it and I couldn't go during the week.
Okay. How is that my problem?
So you wanted me to organize the trip, pay for the whole trip, and then up front, of course, some people gave me money at the back end. Still made it a net loss because anytime I do anything with our friends, I make a major net loss.
It's because you're too kind, Max.
We're gonna have some real beef in here.
Oh, 10 minutes in.
We're gonna have to beep that because that's
Oh yeah,
that's a
a
geographical
locale.
reference.
Damn.
Doxed
yourself again.
Yeah, that is a pair of coordinates. Latitude
It's
and
probably
longitude.
around 8 minutes. We'll figure it out. Anyway, Sam, I really don't think there's any beef here.
All right. You know what? I will admit, there might not be as much beef as I thought. Originally, somehow, I was under the impression that you were not the organizer of this trip.
There was only one trip I didn't organize, and that was Six Flags. But I every time everyone accuses me of being the Six Flag organizer.
Oh, we can never find the organizer because they're craven self. Just they hide.
I told you guys who the organizer was.
Who's the organizer?
I'm not gonna say it on the VOD. I'm not gonna dox him.
We're gonna bleep him out. Don't worry.
No, we're not. We barely bleep out anything on this podcast.
He's in witness protection right now.
I'll DM you afterwards. I'll write it down that I got
right now.
Mention.
Mid podcast.
Nah, we can't do that to him.
Oh, sorry. But yeah, I was actually under the impression that our good friend E.M. was responsible, aka my coworker. So I couldn't fathom that even knowing each other's schedules, even with multiple days a week that we all had off, we didn't end up on the same day.
Nah, dude.
But it was you the whole time. Wow, it turns out, dude, we have a whole cow's worth of beef here, but nobody's eating.
But I mean, we could be eating.
We
'Cause
could.
that was some good content.
True.
Sam, do you feel a little better about missing out on hurricane trip
Oh yeah,
camping?
dude. I mean, if it was you
I
who
mean,
organized
we
it, I
can
don't know
go
what I
camping
expected,
if
right?
you guys want.
What's up?
We can go camping if you guys want.
Sure, why not, right?
I mean, I'd go. Are you inviting us?
I mean, I can figure out something.
So I think what you have to do is you have to have a guest list. You know, like it can't just be a free for all.
So
Yeah.
you should like map the number of people to the number of sleeping spaces and whatnot that you have in cars.
Well, that and in addition, like you have to basically decide like who's serious and who's not.
how
And
you gotta
like,
curate your picks.
yeah, well, yeah, and like not in a mean way, but it's like if somebody's just going there to like screw around, like I don't know, like
Yeah, like
you gotta,
you had that person who left early and they took a whole car with them, and they were one of the 2 vehicles that were there. Like,
Yeah,
alright, you can't
like
really have that.
that's some half-assed shit, and that's not gonna fly. Like okay, so we're gonna pivot now.
Well, there was a reason why. I think there was a definite reason why he had to
Yeah.
leave.
So like
No,
they had a
yeah.
good reason, but that
yeah.
the
But
point
he
is
shouldn't
that,
have even been there in the first place.
or he
perhaps.
could have been there, but maybe, well, no, then it
Maybe
would-
somebody else could have drove.
Yeah,
yeah, maybe you could have had
exactly.
a third. Like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Because I mean, we were like the only people there because everyone realized that there was a hurricane coming. So we had basically like the whole campground to ourselves.
See, that's pretty base.
But I mean, we didn't last long because we got up there, spent like half the time getting cooking stuff. They gave themselves food poisoning, and then a storm came. That was basically the trip. Anyways, I agree. I think there probably should be a guest list, but I feel maybe we should discuss that portion off air.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah.
But I think it's definitely good to discuss what might go into a good camping trip, on air for our viewers.
What is your guys? Are you guys tent campers or cabin campers?
Well,
Glampers, as they would call them.
oh no. I mean,
Clampers.
Glampers.
now I know somebody who frequents that word and frequents that activity.
Glamping.
Yeah. Well,
What is your opinion on glamping?
well,
I'm fine with either or.
I've slept in a tent several times. I was part of an organization in college that had one trip per semester where we went camping. And
Yeah, but not like out in the wilderness,
well,
right? Just in
no,
the frat basement.
No. We went out. We went out to the woods, but we had a big group
Oh.
of guys and a lot of equipment. So like we were well prepared, and like there was no, even if there was bullshit, it was sort of diffused by people who like knew what they were doing. You know
Uh-huh.
what I mean? And like there was always somebody who ended up like, seizing control of like the goods and the fire and everything. So, it's like if you're gonna go with a small group, you have to make sure everybody's committed, because then you can get caught up in the mess, and then you get rained on and swept away in the hurricane.
Yeah, shout out to Hurricane.
But yeah, no, I've never, or maybe I've done like a cabin. Like I think back in middle school, we had like a trip where like the school went up to like some cabins at a like summer camp. But that was the only time I've ever done that.
Dude, that's got to be a nightmare, dude. Imagine being a chaperone for like 1,000 kids
Yeah.
overnight. Holy
So
smokes.
yeah, so we got bunked because you each had a chaperone. Our chaperone was one of the art teachers.
Uh-huh.
I can't remember what his name was. I think it was Mr. Munch. It just doxed him. Sorry about that, Mr. Munch. I have no hard feelings. But
Shout out to Mr. Munch.
now I'm not. I don't have problems sleeping. But my friend at the time, he was also, because we grouped up, and apparently he couldn't sleep because Mr. Munch was sleeping in the other bunk, and apparently he slept with his eyes open, and he was too freaked out by the teacher sleeping with his eyes wide open to sleep.
Wait,
He
that's
was
straight
like,
out of a horror
That
film.
is
yeah, he
cursed.
like woke up the next day. He's like, dude, Mr. Munch like has a demonic possession or something. So I'm staring in his sleep. Oh my god, that's a classic story. I can't believe I just remembered that.
Did you guys have any other like real scuff field trips?
Oh, big time, dude. I remember there was. Oh, I don't even know where we went. We went to like some some like fair or something. I remember my mom packed me a PB&J, and what happened
Nice.
was a bee flew into the bag and landed on my sandwich and got stuck on it. And I was like so freaked out by it that I didn't eat anything, but I felt bad and I like kind of locked it in my lunchbox. And then I was like went around the whole time the rest of the day with my like the bee in the lunchbox, and I was also terrified of it because I was like it's gonna sting me.
Dude, that's scarring.
It was
Imagine being the bee locked in your like tin superhero
Yeah.
lunchbox.
it was it was yeah, that was an old, that's like one of the OG field trips. That wasn't even like middle school. Oh my god, I have another story. Are you ready?
Yeah.
This is genuinely scarring stuff, and I can't believe we're getting into it. But all these memories are now flooding back to me. So
Hit me.
this must have been, I guess it was middle school. It must have been like first year or two of middle school, right? And we had the annual DC trip, right, where you go to the Capitol.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys had that.
Definitely just explained where our geolocated.
East Coast.
The
we had a
whole
bit of-
East Coast had just a yearly DC
Yeah,
trip.
well, you guys had that too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
Okay.
up until like
Nah, I
up
don't
until
live
high
anywhere.
school.
I don't live anywhere close to the Capitol.
And anyway, powering forward.
We gotta try to diversify here, AJ, so we don't immediately dox
Yeah, we
ourselves.
were
But you're going to
southeast
DC.
coast, but we drove to the capital anyway. So.
Oh yeah, it was a big deal
Yeah.
at the time. So yeah, what happened was, I had just gotten, or maybe it was like the families or something. Anyway, I had this video camera that I thought was like pretty neat, right? And I wanted to like go around and like take videos of stuff and take pictures. And what happened was we had a long bus ride down. And we get there, and I realize, oh no, we're like about to start like doing stuff, and I don't have the camera. It's like under the bus in the cargo hold. So I asked like one of the teachers, and I was like, "Can I go like like crawl under this like Greyhound bus and go get the camera?" And he's like, "Yeah, that's fine, that's fine." So he stands outside like while I like dive into the bottom of the bus, like I physically go into the cargo compartment, right?
Uh-huh.
What happens next is I guess the bus driver comes down and like somehow doesn't even see the teacher like standing there, and he walks over and shuts the doors, dude. Trap me under the bus. And I was like, wait, oh shit. So I turn around, I start like banging on it. I'm like, yo, I'm still under here. What the hell? And it took a moment, and then all of a sudden, it clicks, the door swings open, and I'm pretty sure my entire class was standing there like staring at me.
Oh my god, that's so embarrassing.
I stumbled out, and this one girl made some comment to me. I was like, oh, this is it for young AJ, dude. He's done. Reputation destroyed. I'm already that guy on the trip. But yeah, the rest of the trip
Dude.
ended up being okay. But that was, yeah, that stuck with me for a while. I was like, I'm that guy, man.
Sam, did you have any scuff field trips like that?
No, nothing crazy like that. Like the closest thing I think is, funnily enough, on my university DC trip, right?
Ooh.
Yeah, on my university DC trip, after not taking a DC trip for years and years and years, we show up to the Capitol, and no, on the way to the Capitol, just outside, they had this like crazy burger place, right? And it was like 100 of us all packing into this burger place and just getting our food, and they had arranged it beforehand, so we weren't being like a nuisance or whatever. And I
Yeah.
was the second person to order my burger, and we, they just start going through people. The people who got their burgers after me, who ordered after me, got their burgers before me. The next person gets their burger. Like the next 10 people get their
Oh
burgers,
no.
dude. And it's about the time we hit like person number 70 getting their burger. I still haven't gotten my order. I realized, bro, they forgot about me. I was also
what do you
the
do?
only black person on that trip.
Oh no.
No, that's a lie. Nothing around.
Oh, yikes.
But yeah, no, they forgot about
So-
me. That's about the most traumatizing thing that's ever happened to me. They served a couple people before I got my burger, dude. It's truly crazy.
I feel like that happens anywhere we go.
Yeah.
What, they just forget?
I kind of think this is a running theme. There's two things that I know are constant in Sam's life. He's gonna order something he doesn't like, and he'll get his meal last, no matter where he orders.
It's actually happened to me a surprising number of times.
I only had like two really scuffed field trips. One was like when I was like in elementary school. We went to the beach, but we weren't allowed to go into the water.
Scuffed.
Um, yeah, it was real scuffed. We just sat in the baking sun, and that was the field trip. And then on a university trip, this was the only trip I took in university. This was, I think, my second to last year at uni. Me and Danger Boy, shout out to Danger, um, went up to a conservatorium for a sustainability class we took, and we went to go see a Frank Lloyd Wright house. By the way, I hate Frank Lloyd Wright. He was just not a visionary, and we're not gonna get into my deep beef with Frank Lloyd Wright here because that man has probably been dead for many years, and doesn't deserve to be tarnished by me because I'm just an amateur. But not a big fan of Frank Lloyd. But we end up, it's like a 5-hour drive up there. We don't stop at all besides one convenience store, and they don't tell us that it's going to be lunch. And then we get to our location. There's like a seating or like a sleeping chart because they have hotel rooms for us. The professor just goes hog wild and starts handing people keys. And we end up in the professor's room, which is just one king size bed and that's it. And we go hunt for people, but everybody had left me in danger because we were the only ones that were like underclassmen on this trip. So everybody had left, including the professor. Nobody could be found. So we were stuck in this room. We weren't even in the city that we were supposed to like go visit stuff at. We were like in like the suburbs of the city. But there was this amazing burger restaurant down the street, and like all the reviews said it was great, and it was like in this like outdoor mall, kind of like strip mall area with a whole bunch of different shops and stuff. So we end up going over there to go eat. We eat, and then after we eat, we're like, let's go check out the shops. Well, it is 6 o'clock on a Sunday, and that whole town shuts down at 6 o'clock on a Sunday. So we got to eat, and then we had nothing to do until the next morning. And we had to build a pillow wall in between us so we didn't touch while we slept.
Oh.
It was rough. But it was probably one of the best field trips I've ever been on, to be honest with you. And then on the way back, it took us like 7 hours because we hit traffic twice. Big rough. But speaking of field trips, why don't we talk about this Georgia trip?
So I recently went down to Atlanta, Georgia, go visit one of my friends from college. He has relocated there as he's going to Georgia Tech. And yeah, we drove. So from my location at, well, we'll leave that up to, viewer interpretation. It took us about 12 hours, like 12 like raw hours on the road, plus like
Oof.
stops and stuff like that. Not that bad though, because we took a truck, like one of those 3-row trucks. So we rode in comfort.
Like a SUV?
Yeah, like a brand new like Toyota. Not Toyota. It was a Chevy Traverse, 3 rows. Pretty
Nice.
Very comfortable. Very comfortable. Even with 6 people in it, like 6, 20-something-year-old people crammed into it. We did real well. We took one stop on the way down. We went to Shenandoah. I don't know if you guys have ever been there.
No.
Okay.
No clue.
It's just this like very nice mountain range, like in the Virginias. Very scenic. You could like drive up the mountains. That's pretty cool. And then we got down to Georgia at like 4 a.m. And that was cool.
Holy smokes.
That was cool. Good times. We did a lot of stuff. The whole thing in Georgia is that they don't care about COVID because it's the South, I guess.
Yeah, dude.
Which, by the way, is kind of like relieving in a way, and like you also take things for granted. Because, like, back like maybe like a year and a half ago, like going to like a baseball game wouldn't be that big of a deal. But like after all this time and all this like headache, just like doing that kind of stuff was pretty nice. Like I definitely took it for granted. I used to not be a big fan of like just like going out and doing things just for the sake of doing them, but my mindset on that has totally shifted.
It's all that time just cooped up inside.
Pretty much, man. It's like not even that like I have any problems with like being cooped up inside. Like I also appreciate like, staying in and like, taking care of myself and like being alone, but yeah, no, going out is kind of fun. It's kind of fun. We saw a baseball game. We went to Georgia has this awesome aquarium, like amazing. The problem is we got there late, so we had to rush through it, but it was outstanding. Um, we went to like this bowling alley slash bar that was like underground. Um, and then we went to Stone Mountain, which is like this big controversial location, because they think that the Confederacy won the Civil War. When you go there,
Oof.
they're like, "Yeah, there was a war here, guys. It was pretty bad, but let's not forget that we're all friends now." It's like, hang on, wait a sec. One side definitely won that war. You guys know that, right?
Oh no.
But yeah, Stone Mountain itself, if it wasn't like totally like colonized by like the KKK, is an incredible like geological thing. Like you're out in the middle of nowhere, like Atlanta's just like trees and like flat ground, and then all of a sudden you've just got this giant, like it looks like just a giant boulder that fell out of the sky, and you could climb up this thing. It's the most incredible thing I've ever seen. Like I'm a pretty like frequent hiker, but this was really really cool. You literally just walk up the side of a rock. It's very unique. Um,
AJ,
yeah.
can I say something about the Georgia Aquarium?
Yes. Go ahead.
I assume you were in the ATL. Am I correct?
Yes, Atlanta.
Yeah. So that was one of a key locations in the second Percy Jackson series, Heroes of Olympus.
The Georgia Aquarium.
Shout out. Yep.
It's I think it's the biggest aquarium in the Western Hemisphere.
Yep. And there was in the Percy Jackson lore, there is a old sea titan that lives in the Atlanta Aquarium.
I mean,
Fun fact.
it was sick. I could see it being ruled over by a titan of the sea.
Shout out to that guy.
Max,
He had a chariot pulled by crayfish.
how many
Something
books
like that.
how many books are there in the Percy Jackson series?
A lot.
Because I remember reading like maybe the first
ones that he's in, or just like the lore behind.
the one that he's in, because I remember a bunch of them. Like, and I was like
There's-
fairly into them, but then I think I just stopped. I don't know.
So he's in. By the way, I haven't finished all of them. There's 2 books that came out recently that I haven't actually listened to yet.
Shout out to
But he
to
is
Rick.
in. Yeah, shout out to Rick. He is in the original series, right? He is not in the Egyptian series at all. He is in the second Roman series. He's a main character in the second Roman series that has 7 main characters. Excellent book. Solid series. He appears in the North series, and he has an appearance in the second Greek series.
Damn, dude.
Second Greek-Roman series, I guess.
Rick Riordan, is that his name?
Yeah, Rick Riordan.
Yeah, he just churns out books.
He does churn up books. He has them like, I think it's like once a year.
Oh my god,
He just finished Trials of Apollo,
this dude's built
and
different.
I don't know where he's going to go
Yeah.
from that.
Um,
He has other authors writing in his universe now, which is like fucking boggling.
that's some
that
that's
he
some
can-
George R. R. Martin type shit.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Like, there's like a Hawaiian god one now, that's like written by some other person, and then there's another one.
Did you ever see the
I think
movie?
there's like a Mayan
Did you ever
one.
see the movie?
Oh, I've seen the movie. That's the reason why I got into the books, is because I saw the movie.
So you liked the movie?
And then I was like, oh my god, this movie's garbage.
Oh, okay. See, I saw it by chance. I was on a flight somewhere. I might have been going down to Florida or something, or maybe New Orleans. I don't know. I saw the movie anyway, and I had read the book, so I knew what was going on. I just couldn't finish the movie. It was just not good.
The weird thing is when they do those like young adult books, all of the cast is supposed to be like 12, but they hire like 18, 19-year-old people.
Yeah, and at a certain point, like you're like, like this is clearly not a child. Like,
Yeah. Like, have you guys seen the newest series of Unfortunate Events series with the guy from How I Met Your Mother?
I didn't finish it, but yes,
Was that the one on Netflix?
I didn't finish it either.
it is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
What did you guys like? Because I thought it was really cool that they churned them out really quick so the kids couldn't get older.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Probably a good idea.
I mean, I think I didn't hate it, but I also didn't. I don't think it was that like groundbreaking. I don't know. Like it was very like average. I think.
Now, when you guys watch something, what is your mindset going in?
Like,
What do you mean?
Yeah. What do you mean?
So, like, when I usually watch a movie, the main thing I look for is oddly colors.
Huh?
Yes. There's something about bright colors and just weird stuff like that that really makes a movie good for me. Like, I'll like a trash movie just because it was bright and colorful. Because I'll turn my brain off. Like, if I know the movie's not going to be good, I'm there for the colors.
So you're saying like the plot could be garbage, but if the visuals are like
Yeah.
are like drawing you in, you're just a happy camper.
Like, for instance, everybody told me the newest Star Wars movie was going to be garbage. So I went in just looking at the pretty visuals. And then
Correction, Max. All the nerds told you that
and then
the movie was going to be bad.
And with the pretty visuals, it drew me into the story, and I was like, this movie isn't half bad. And I would give it a 7 out of 10. Solid movie.
If you like disconnect that new Star Wars series from like all the other ones and just take it at face value, it's a very well produced like fan fiction Star Wars series. Like fine, you know?
Yeah.
Like Kylo Ren is awesome. Like
Dude, Kylo Ren's so fucking cool.
like he's just
a wide boy.
He carries those movies. Him and Rey like genuinely carry those movies.
What do you think, Sam?
You don't want to hear my thoughts.
Oh,
No, we want to
Yeah,
hear your
remember how
thoughts
you
now.
said all the nerds thing? All right. First and
Yeah.
foremost, I'm a total nerd. But second, he means all the people with any sense of culture and taste. All right. But
yikes!
that's a whole other thing altogether. Now, I think they have a high production value, which
Yes,
is why I
undeniable.
find it very incredible that the writing turned out the way it did.
So everything I've seen, and sorry to interrupt you here, Sam, but I want to put it out there that I mean you've probably seen the reports too that like the production of those movies was like, yeah,
Yeah.
okay, we're gonna make Star Wars movies, and they literally just like started producing them before like they even had a plot.
Yeah, it really shows. It really
It
shows,
really shows. Like they were literally making up the story like on the fly.
bro.
And
That was changing between movies too. Like,
Yeah,
hearing about
Yeah,
the
like the
feud
eight-
that the
like-
two directors had, like, oh man.
how they switched directors.
Well, so they initially pitched the whole thing as we're gonna have a different director for each film, and that comes with a number of its own problems when you're trying to create a whole like spanning trilogy.
Well, if you have it
Especially-
planned out, it could work.
Yeah, if you have it planned out, and if the three directors agree to respect each other's visions, but that's not what happened at all.
Not even close.
Even with the two directors, they couldn't respect each other's visions.
No, it was a train wreck.
Yeah. But yeah, $1 billion franchise, but all right.
I mean, they literally threw all the money at the world at it, and the plot like just did not like nothing came from it.
Yeah. Well,
They're like,
will,
what if we?
I will agree with you when you said that, dude. Kylo Ren and Rey carry those movies.
Absolutely.
I got a number of problems with how they handle some of the characters, and a number of problems with like the plot and direction. But I will say, dude, the acting from all the the main people, man, they all did the best with what they had.
Oh. Because I think they literally casted people before they even had like lines written for them. They were just like, we love like Daisy Ridley and Adam Driver and Oscar Isaac because they're just awesome and they could pull it off no matter what we tell them to do.
Yo, those movies really like slingshotted their careers.
Oh my God,
good for
they're,
them.
They're Adam
Yeah.
Driver did everything.
Have you guys watched Imperial?
I've never even heard of it.
It's probably I can't remember the guy's name.
What, from Star
The
Wars?
English actor who plays Finn.
Oh, John Boyega.
John Boyega. He is a living in, I think it's Compton, and he's a single father trying to be an author, and they're living in a car. It is an amazing movie.
Sounds
Top
sounds
10.
heavy.
Yeah, it was a Netflix original movie, I think, and it is heavy.
Ooh.
And that is his best performance. It's just genuinely great. And I think it was right before the 8th movie came out. It was like that movie came out, and then like a week or two later, the 8th one came out, and everyone was just like, "We hate you, John."
Dude, he gets. Oh, dude, it's sad that like like some of the main guys, like like Oscar Isaac and Daisy Ridley get like all this like credit, and like I mean, yeah, they did good, but like then the other like characters, like the side characters, got like so much hate. Like like John Boyega, like literally has been like he's like I don't even want to talk about Star Wars anymore because you guys roasted the shit out of me, and it wasn't even my fault. Like he
Yeah.
did all he could,
Yeah.
given what he had,
Which he
Like,
was not given very much at all.
his character arc was no character arc. Like
Yeah, like
They really set him up for something in the first one, and then they just
They-
like, yeah, we don't care.
they
That
didn't
was
even
just a
really set him up,
sidekick.
dude. They came up with the idea. This is one of my things about storytelling in general, right? Sometimes you gotta be willing to just drop what you think is a really good idea. So they made John they made his character like a defected stormtrooper, right? And that
Yeah.
was relevant for like the first 5 minutes of the movie, and then just nothing happened with that for like the rest of the trilogy. Until they kind of remembered
Yeah.
it in the third film, and then they tried to have like a little plot around it, but then not really.
nah, it was too little, too late.
Yeah.
But he did get to fight the what's her name? The lady from Game of Thrones.
Oh,
The
Brienne
lady in
of
the full
Tarth.
chrome. Yeah, you got to fight her,
Yeah,
and she called him a traitor, I think.
yeah. Man, they just threw the characters into the meat grinder, dude. They
Yeah.
didn't care what came out. They were just like, "Good luck, have fun. We'll touch it up in post editing," and
So sad.
it really is. It really is because
Still,
what's up?
I still think it's a 7 out of 10.
No,
Yeah,
because I mean,
Set of
With
movies.
all the problems it had, it still somehow managed to be like a watchable film, which is incredible. Like,
all right,
Yeah.
like okay, so I went and saw the first one with I think my brother and sister, and maybe there's some other people there, but I mean, just sitting down in theaters and just watching like a very high budget, well produced like Star Wars movie was awesome. It was such a good experience. Like I enjoyed the hell out of it. I came back and I was like, oh, I don't really understand like any of the plot, like, and I don't know why any of the characters made the decisions that they did. But yeah, it was Star Wars and it was cool.
Imagine not having a theater in your basement like a true
Oh
Chad.
my god,
mm-mm.
dude, do you think
Projector master race.
something like Star Wars at this point is too big, where like they could literally just keep like, screwing around and like making mistakes, but it's just too big and there's too many fans for it to like ever, drop out of like cultural relevance?
Definitely.
Think so?
Yeah, I think it's pretty big. I think they would have to.
Yeah,
I think
it's
they would
too
have to try
cemented.
really hard. I think they could mess it up, but I think
I mean,
they would
because
try really hard to do
to
so.
think that Star Wars, like the main Star Wars like canon has like one excellent trilogy and then two other trilogies that are like somewhat controversial. And it's still where it is today. So yeah.
What I think really saves Star Wars is the spin-off stuff they do.
Oh, I couldn't agree more.
Because
Absolutely.
Rogue One is like such a good movie.
That was like the most intense movie I've seen in a while. Like
Ye-
I didn't know what to expect going in. And
The best part about that movie is you knew they were gonna die at the end, and they died at the end. They didn't do some cheesy cop out where they got away at the last second.
they didn't pull punches.
You knew everybody who was on that team was not going to make another film in the series.
They
They're dead.
They didn't pull their punches. You're right.
Which just like is just perfect, and they all do. They make the sacrifice to get the plans to the Death Star, and the only thing I had gripes with in that movie was the weird CGI bits of people's faces
Yeah. Oh, with Grand Moff Tarkin.
and Princess Leia at the end.
Oh yeah.
You could have just like did like a weird like shadow bit where you digitally impose their face or voice, but you don't see their face.
Right.
But because they're so like iconic characters.
Well, I mean, they did the same thing in The Mandalorian with Luke.
Really? I didn't see the second season
Well,
of Mandalorian, so I don't know.
Spoiler alert.
It doesn't matter. I don't care.
The Mandalorian's good, dude. It's worth watching.
Oh yeah, it's one of the
Oh,
best
yeah, I think it's
recent
good.
Star Wars things to come out.
I really like Pedro Pascal. I really like the music. The music's really good.
Yeah.
And like a lot of
Ludwig.
I think a lot of people dislike it because like they're like, oh, the story doesn't move enough. It's kind of like jumping around. But like I kind of like how like every week is like its own like little storyline.
Yeah.
But I guess that's not for everybody, so I don't know what to tell you. You can't make everybody happy.
Yeah, everybody's so used to these long, just generic 10-season show or 10-episode season shows where it's a continuous storyline. But like Mando, there is some sort of plot going on in the background that's like kind of continuous, but he's doing shit like different shit every time.
Right, and like every so often they'll dip into like the larger storyline, but like I don't know, I appreciate it. I think it's a very nice way to storytell.
Thoughts, Sam?
I think this is all right. To really get my thoughts across on this, man, I'm a big fan of like tightly plotted stuff, so I say I'll be a bit farther away from that.
You like when the plot is like very locked up, very like focused.
Yeah.
I feel that. I can see where you're coming from.
Mm.
But you said that this was the best thing that they put out for the Star Wars series in a while.
Yeah, that's more a knock on the other stuff than actually. I think, don't get me wrong, I still think it was like really good, but I don't.
Sam just destroyed all of Disney. Shout out to Sam. You're not getting your special Disney Channel show anymore.
They're gonna wipe their tears at the billions of dollars they're raking in, so I think they'll be fine.
The mouse, dude. Gotta pay respects to the mouse.
Do you know who's also paying respects to the mouse?
Who?
Bobby for this week's ad read. Let's go, boys. This week is a special week for all of us. We managed to make it 10 whole weeks into this podcasting game. And Bobby sees this, and he sees that you guys are really out here supporting all of his beautiful projects, and he would like to thank you all personally by sponsoring the 13. He had a special message for you beautiful people that are subscribed, and it goes something like this. Hey, why are you still listening to the Sam Experience? You should obviously be going to listen to a real podcast with real hosts, and they're professional. That Sam dude, wacky and wild. AJ, what's going on with AJ, dude? Why is the cake a lie? And Max, don't get me started on that fool. I guess at this point I have to thank Bobby, even though he insulted all three of us. Anyways, really enjoy the pod, and thank you guys all for listening. It really means a lot to us. Welcome back to the Sam Experience. Hopefully you enjoyed that little ad read and special shout out from Bobby. It's a little sad that he insulted us, but we will ride on into the sunset, just like this movie franchise we're about to talk about, Fast and Furious. So, boys, before we get started, I wanted you guys to know that I am a superior being because I have a home theater. It cost me $200. It is a projector, a screen, and a sound bar. And I will never go back to watching on a regular television ever again.
When I move, I gotta invest in that. I think it's worth it.
Yeah, if you have the space for it, I would definitely invest in research. Don't just buy the cheapest one like I did.
No.
Definitely do a little research about like projection throw and stuff like that. It'll help a lot.
All right.
But we just came out from a holiday weekend. I was home alone, 3 days off by myself, and I had the projector set up in the basement. And for some reason at work, I thought about Fast and Furious and the new movies coming out. And I remember having the first two movies on VHS and watching them as a kid and really getting grossed out by the rat scene in the second movie. And everybody talks about how bad those movies are. So I was like, I kind of think that they probably were really awesome. And I watched 6 Fast and Furious movies back to back to back. And my God, are those movies awesome.
Yep.
I went in thinking that they were going to be bad, so I really focused on the story. And the story is literally, if you just think about it like they're Marvel characters, it is amazing.
It's a superhero like show, yeah.
Yeah.
Like movie series.
Even in the first one where it's like yeah, this is like kind of like real. People say the first one's realistic. It's not really realistic, but it is freaking awesome to watch. Oh my God. Sam, do you know the plot of the first movie?
Nah. So hit me with it.
Okay. So there's an undercover cop. You don't know he's an undercover cop until like 30 minutes into the movie. He is into street racing. He is street racing. That's all he's about. He works at a parts store, but he's an undercover cop trying to get in and figure out who is stealing millions of dollars worth of DVD players. Yes, DVD players, Sam. This is 2001.
It was different.
So there's these bandits in black Honda Civics that are robbing truckers while they're on the road and taking their DVD players. So he's trying to find them. And he ends up getting into bed with this family of just amazing street racers and ends up saving them at the end from getting in trouble. That's like essentially the whole bit of the story, because it turns out the family that he's getting in bed with are these people who are robbing VHS players. And then you don't see those any of those people again for 3 whole movies. Besides the main character who you see in the second movie, and then the third one you just don't see.
Vin Diesel.
You see Vin Diesel in the third movie. That is correct.
Vin Diesel's actually a superhero, if you didn't know that.
Yeah, Vin Diesel, Sam, is just fucking amazing in all of those movies. He gets progressively stronger every movie, to the point of where he's like jumping across like a bridge to grab his girlfriend and use his back to cushion the blow. It is amazing. Sam, if you watch them, if you just go in thinking that it's a Marvel movie, it'll blow you away about how good those movies are.
Yeah.
There's so many good lines in those movies. It is ridiculous.
Like,
oh my God.
You have to like have suspension of disbelief like after like the first movie or two, because the thing is, you sit down, you're like, okay, it's like a street racing movie that's like popular and fun, and like I think a lot of people don't like it because like it comes off as kind of like trashy and like silly and like it almost like it tries to be serious sometimes, but like it really isn't. It's just an action movie.
The fourth movie went too serious. And it really showed. Because Vin Diesel became like this ace detective in the fourth movie.
So, Max, let me tell you something. So, I sat down freshman year of college with my roommate who was really into them. He's like, dude, have you ever seen them? I was like, I saw like 1 or 2. Like, I don't know. He's like, all right, we're going to sit down. We're going to sit down like every night for like a week and watch them. So, that's what we did. We sat down and we just like binged through the whole series, much like you did, right? And that was a while ago, so like I'm not too like caught up, and that was the last time I saw them, but I had a very similar experience to you where like I went in with like some expectations, but like by the time you get to like the third movie, yeah, and it just gets, you're like, all right. Like I get it. I know where we're going.
But what blows my mind is, yeah, you get that feeling in the third movie, like, yeah, I get it. I understand what's going on. Like, this is like kind of far-fetched, but it's like super fun. It doesn't matter. And then the fifth movie rolls around, and you think the ending of the fifth movie, which is a heist movie, Sam, because, by the way, it is no longer about street racing after, like, the third movie, and it just jumps around to, like, every different possible action movie plot, and it just kind of revolves around cars, and it is super sick.
They're thieves.
It's like,
they're, like, sort of like mischievous heroes.
Yeah, they're like working with the government one movie, and then they're fighting the government the next movie. It's just,
You're taking on
it's
gangs,
super
like
fuck. It's
taking
nuts.
on rich people.
It's
They'll do anything, honestly.
yeah,
Like nothing is off the table for like the crew. Like honestly, like it's like joking around that like they're gonna go to space this next movie, but like honestly, it probably would fit the plot really well.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, Max.
But
Which one was your
in
favorite?
the fifth movie,
Oh.
right? There's a scene, Sam, where they. Sam, do you care if I spoil
Just
this?
go for it, cause it'll still be fun when I see it.
There's a scene where they drag a safe through Brazil. A giant safe with two cars, the safe is crashing through stuff, and you're like, this isn't real, but this is amazing to watch. So you keep on watching it, and then you do a little research after the movie, and it turns out, yes, they actually pulled a safe through Brazil and destroyed structures to make this bit happen.
So it was all
They
practical.
literally, most of it is practical.
Oh my god.
They're running into cars with this safe that is being dragged by two Dodge Challengers. It's just kind of like this weird thing where like you play this game of is it real or is it fake when you watch those movies, and it just like it adds like an extra layer. It's like the 7-layer dip of movies. Every movie you get a new plot. Every movie you're playing this game.
So I think my favorite part is that they just keep adding like new like high budget actors too. Like the fifth
Yeah.
movie, Dwayne the Rock Johnson shows up, and like at first he's an adversary, but he learns to respect the main characters and
Yep.
like join their team. Jason Statham shows up and he's like angry and wants to kill them, but then they team up for some shit. It's incredible. It really is incredible the amount of
Yeah.
and then dude, the best part is like The Rock and Jason Statham had like their own spin-off
And the villain in that movie is Idris Elba.
and he's a superhero. Like actually.
I haven't watched those movies, but I've seen like the synopsis because I still have 7, 8, and that spinoff movie to watch.
Oh my god.
But it's Sam. I literally watched there's a 30-minute video that explains all of the Fast and Furious lore. I watched that like 4 or 5 times one week during work because I was so involved, like so invested in learning about Fast and Furious before I went and watched those movies. And I still enjoyed every second. Like every movie to me is a 10 out of 10, even 4. And 4 is like the worst of all the movies.
What was the plot? Run the plot for 4 for me again.
So 4, it turns out Dom and some of the people that have fled the U.S. after stealing VCRs, and some extra characters like Han from Tokyo Drift, who turns out Tokyo Drift isn't until the 7th movie, which blows my mind still.
Oh yeah, because they moved it around in the timeline.
Yeah, but also it kind of works, which is really fucked up. Even though they have flip phones in Tokyo, it kind of works for some reason. But so Dom is out doing Dom stuff in like South America, and he leaves Letty, which is his girlfriend.
He's down bad. Do they have the oil heist in that one?
Yeah,
Okay.
The beginning is the oil heist. They're stealing gasoline.
Okay.
From a moving semi truck. Sam, it's wild.
It's very intense.
It's very intense. But one of the characters, Han, tells him that he's hot and that they should move again. And he's like, nah, I'm going to do it myself. I don't want to get anybody else into trouble. So he leaves because he's basically the only one that's actually in trouble. Everyone's just kind of following him. So his girlfriend goes back to the States, and she ends up working with the original main character, Brian O'Connor, who's played by the late Paul Walker, because he's back in the CIA now. Every other movie, he's with the CIA, and then he becomes a fugitive.
Everybody
amazing.
flips allegiances every couple of movies too.
It's awesome. And she works for him as like an undercover street racer, and then she gets got, but she doesn't actually die. She just comes back later.
Oh, Letty?
But that's another story.
That's a whole side plot.
Yeah, and then Dom comes back and he's like, I want revenge. So he comes back to the States, and then he becomes this super detective, goes back to the crime scene, learns that there's nitro meth, and only pussies use nitro meth to make their cars go faster, and tracks it down to one guy who sells nitro meth, and then the main characters meet again, and then they become like drug runners for this like crazy cartel guy, and they meet up with Gal Gadot, who is working for the crazy cartel guy, and she really wants to have intercourse with
Vin Diesel.
Vin Diesel, but Vin Diesel's like, nah, Letty was the only girl I really loved. And then they end up capturing the bad guy, and then Dom goes to prison, even though he captured the bad guy and worked with the CIA. He goes to prison, and at the end of the movie, they break him out and become fugitives again. That's the movie. That's all of 4.
So,
and for some reason, the director, like, it's like the DC movie compared to all the other Marvel movies they made. Like, it's like dark and gritty, and like every shot is dark.
yeah, it's like there's a lot of like browns and like grays and.
And this is a franchise known by having very bright and vivid cars.
Yeah, like yeah. You've seen the pictures.
Yeah.
Sam, you gotta watch these movies. They're so good.
Like, they're just like pure, like a purest form of entertainment you could have. You don't have to do any outside thinking unless you want to, of course. Like, you could go and learn all the lore.
The only outside thinking I would recommend is waiting for characters catch lines, because all of them have like a signature line, and my favorite is Tyrese. Not Tyrese. What's his? I think that's his name.
The other guy.
His real name is Tyrese, but
Yeah.
I don't know what his.
I can't
I don't
remember.
know
It's
what
been a while.
Oh, his name's Roman. Roman's catch line is "We hungry," and every time he says that, I get really excited.
I guess you got to see it to understand it.
So,
Yeah,
Sam,
it's
let me
super.
tell you. Let me just one final word on this is that you have to remember the whole thing started out with like street racing and cars and like that whole thing. So they have to shoehorn that
Oh yeah.
into every movie in the
Every
most
movie.
convoluted way. So they're like, all right, we have to sneak into a country and like save our friends. And they're like, what's the best way to do it? Okay, we're gonna fly a plane in and parachute the cars out, and we're gonna drive the cars as fast as we can and then fly them off cliffs and shit. Okay.
It's super fucking awesome.
Or they're like, okay, we're in Dubai, but there needs to be more cars. Okay, so we're gonna have them jump between buildings.
That's actually the turning point in the series. They call it jumping the building. And there's what it breaks down because like the 5th movie used like a lot of practical effects, but that movie didn't, and it wasn't really grounded. But apparently 7 is still really dope, and I'm excited to watch it this weekend.
It's truly incredible how like popular this series is too. Like,
I'm not even a car guy, and I was like, I kind of want a race car now, or like a street car.
oh yeah, it's incredible.
Like, I want one from like the first couple, like maybe 1 or 2 would be really dope.
Max, there's like lasting effects in car culture because of like those first like 2 or 3 movies. Like up to like Tokyo Drift, everybody wanted like like a Supra or like some Honda or something. Like car culture was like forever changed by those movies.
Dude, if I could get like a 1-to-1 model of the Supra from the first movie, I would spend a lot of money.
Supra is very nice.
So are there like
Sam,
a lot of
would you
like
ever have night-
close-up shots of logos in that movie?
Oh,
There
for like
is
product
some
placement?
Yeah,
product
because I'd
placement.
imagine, bro, like if you're saying it has this much of an effect on car culture or whatever, that car companies are trying to get their cars in this film.
Nas. Nas
Yeah,
had
Nas
so much
monopoly.
product placement.
Just an absolute monopoly.
Yeah, basic. You know what Nas is, right?
No, I live
Sam?
under a rock.
It's nitrous oxide, right?
Yeah, it basically it gives your car the speed. Like
Oh yeah.
the screen gets
Yeah.
all like zoomed out and the cars go faster.
So Fast and Furious,
Well-
that would make sense that Nas would want to be in there.
Yeah, so like basically every car has NOS in it in every movie, even if it doesn't need it. At one point they have like a grappling gun that's powered by NOS, which is crazy. But in the 4th
Yeah.
movie, at one point in time, NOS was like an energy drink. I don't think they still do it, like a legit energy drink to like drink like Monster Energy or something. In the fourth movie, there's posters like all around the city they're in that just have Nas on them. Like there's like a lot more. There's a lot more like big budget like brands that have product placement than like car. Like cars are basically the product placement for cars. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
they just have different kind of cars, but it's never. They have a lot of product placement for other big franchises. Like Coca-Cola has a billboard that they run into in the second movie. They're just crazy.
It's not like Sam. It's not like The Walking Dead where like they had that one like Hyundai that like survived like 3 seasons for no fucking reason other than the fact that it was like sponsored.
But like every AMC show has that Hyundai, because isn't that the same Hyundai that Walter White drove around in?
No, Walter White drove around in a Pontiac Aztec, and
Okay.
Pontiac was defunct by the time Breaking Bad aired. But that's a tangent. Let's go back to the Fast and Furious.
Dude, Fast and Furious is
So,
it's so fun.
all right, which is, in your opinion, before we get off this, Max, what's the best movie? What's the worst movie? And like in like one sentence, why?
Okay. Best movie is a tie between the first and the fifth movie.
Okay, the first just because
Um,
it's like it set the scene.
Yeah, and it's such a like it really held up very well. And it's been 20 years since the first movie came out, and it is still amazing. The fifth movie, because it had every all-star in it, had my boy Han, who is the coolest character just in all of fiction. And it was just
Dwayne Johnson.
really really interesting, just like the whole story behind it, like the twists and turns I wasn't expecting.
That's the one where Dom is down bad. He's like alcoholic, like. Or am I misremembering? Is that the Brazil one?
Yeah, that's the Brazil one,
Oh.
but he's not really down. Like he is, like he tries to sacrifice himself a lot for everybody else because he thinks Letty's still dead.
Right. So he is down
And he's
bad.
kind of
Okay.
going on this war path.
Right.
The worst movie, in my opinion, is 4, because it's like the DC movie in the middle of all these
It's
Marvel
very
movies.
edgy.
Yeah, but I still think 4 is a 10 out of 10 movie.
So no movie goes under 10 for you?
No movie goes under 10. The highest rated ones were 1 and 5.
Yeah.
But 3 I had the most nostalgia for. Tokyo Drift.
Yeah. Because that one's like kind of unique.
That one's unique, and I remember watching it at my grandma's house on a 12-inch TV with my brother.
Incredible.
And that just kind of brings back memories. Sam, there's a torture scene in the second movie that just scarred me as a kid.
With the rat on the guy's stomach.
With the rat.
Oh,
This is the most messed up thing that you can put in a PG-13 movie, and I honestly don't think you could get away with it.
and what's
today.
this rat doing? Like eating its way into people or something?
So what the guy does, the villain in that movie is not developed whatsoever, but he is so hateable.
He's like a sleazy mob guy.
Yeah, really just super sleazy super sleaze boy.
Greasy.
But what they do is they get this cop and they pin him down onto the table, and they put a rat on his stomach, and then they put a steel like bucket over top of the rat, and then with a blowtorch they start to heat up the bucket until the rat starts to squeal, and then when it stops squealing, it starts to kind of go into the dude.
Jeez.
And they got away with that in a PG-13 movie.
So does the cops ride?
Yeah, the cop caves.
Oh.
And he's like, no, like, I'll help you. And then he turns his back, like, he doesn't help him at the end, which is like his character arc development, which is crazy cool. And that guy would end up being in Sons of Anarchy and being a major character. 10 out of 10. Great movie.
All right.
We hungry, Sam. We hungry.
We hungry.
Sam, I do have a question
Dude,
for you now.
All right, hit me up.
What is the worst movie you've seen in the past couple of years?
All right, so I don't watch a lot of movies, so this is actually, it's probably going to be one that's like fairly watchable. Honestly, and I'm not even trying to be spiteful when I say it, dude. The newest Star Wars movie. What was it? The Last Jedi?
The latest one, The
Yeah,
Last
whichever one came
Skywalker?
out. The Last Skywalker. The
Or no,
Rise
The
of
Rise of
Skywalker.
Skywalker.
Yeah, that's what it
That's
was.
the one. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna say
Nah,
that one.
totally skippable.
Uh, yeah. I'm about to spoil this movie for everybody right now, dude. In the first like 5 minutes where they have that massive fleet of Star Destroyers, or what were they?
Yeah.
Star Destroyers? Rise
Well,
out of
the new version, but yeah,
yeah.
Star Destroyers.
They rise out of the planet, and it's like they just come out of nowhere because they just need a villain to fight for the third movie
Oh yeah.
because the trilogy just did not set that up prior.
Oh no. Oh no.
Yeah,
Like
that was pretty bad.
one of the coolest visuals I've ever seen, but meaningless.
Yeah.
Totally empty.
But also, it was like super dark. It's
Well,
another one of those dark things where you can't really see what's going on.
yeah, the whole thing with the Emperor was like really dark. There was like a lot of weird shit happening in the background that I didn't like get. Like apparently like he had like all these like people with him. I was like, who are these? Like, you know what I'm talking about? Like,
Yeah, and he like turned out he was like cloning Snoke's.
well, yeah,
Like Snoke wasn't like a real person; he was like a clone from the start.
yeah, and then like, he apparently had like, cause like one of the later scenes, like when they all meet up on that like evil planet, like there's like Rey's like facing off with him, and there's like all these like people in the background. I'm like like who are these people?
Yeah,
Like,
like-
what? They're like Sith like
cultists or something.
Cultists?
Did
Yeah.
you guys ever play KOTOR?
um.
Knights of the Old Republic?
I mean, I've watched people play it. I've never played
Yeah, I
it.
don't know much about it.
Young Zanzibar played through it, and I watched it, and we made the decisions together. And that game actually really helps with understanding how the Sith works. Like, it makes sense that there were all those like Sith underlings with Palpatine, like they're like training, but like Rey is essentially going to be the one that replaces him, that strikes him down, because that's how like the Sith works. Is like there's like a Sith Emperor, or not Sith Emperor, I don't remember what they call it, Sith Overlord.
Yeah, there's like,
And then there's one Padawan, and that Padawan is supposed to take over.
it's the rule of two,
Yeah, the rule of two.
and then every time the one thinks they're the strongest person ever until the Padawan eventually gets as strong as the master, and then the Padawan goes crazy and says, "I'm the strongest person ever," and kills him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that there was a whole bunch of other people that maybe could take his place.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
But still, it didn't matter, because didn't they all die from like rocks
Yeah.
that fell from the sky?
Yeah, the whole planet, I think, just exploded or something. I don't know. It's all meaningless. It really is. Plot wise, couldn't care less.
But were those visuals cool?
The coolest
Oh,
shit,
yeah,
dude.
bro.
Like again, everyone gives that one scene in the middle movie, where the ship jumps through the Star Destroyer, and the screen like goes like silent and just hangs there for a second with no sound.
Oh, that's so cool.
That was like the cool, like one, like I'm not kidding, like one of the top things I've ever seen in a movie theater. Like I had chills. I was like, oh my god. Like I was like not really like into that movie, and then that hit, and I was like, that moment like was prime.
Yeah. So once again, this brings me back to the thing I mentioned earlier, man. When you're writing a film, dude, you're writing anything really. Sometimes you really just gotta let go of something, no matter how cool it is, for the sake of the story. Uh, just as an aside, in sci-fi, right, whether you're doing like hard sci-fi, soft sci-fi, and what that means is just like how close you're gonna be to, say, being quote unquote realistic, how much explanation you can provide, whether it's closer to like fantasy or not. But they usually don't touch on light speed ramming, because that opens up just a whole can of worms that you probably don't want to deal with your story. That being said, like you said, dude, one of the best scenes, if not the best scene in the whole new trilogy.
Oh
in
yeah,
terms of visuals, in terms of sound design and all that.
yeah. I mean, it's like what's the saying? It's like where it's the pool's a mile wide but an inch deep. Like the plot doesn't matter, but the visuals and the production like somehow managed to actually carry it to like a decent position, which is so backwards. That's not how films should be. But yeah,
It just proves if you throw enough money at it, like Bobby does with his podcast, it'll end up being good eventually.
so shout out to the 15 subscribers we have.
Shout out.
Based.
But going back to this, Sam, what was the best movie you've seen recently?
Ooh.
Oh,
Oh.
that's a hard one. I probably can't even think of it right now. Um, yeah, that's a hard one. Real quick, what's the best movie you've seen recently, Max? Do you have any ideas of what that might be?
Now, are we talking pre-quarantine or post-quarantine?
I would say outside of Fast and Furious because you just
Yeah.
saw those,
Yeah.
so you got recency bias.
I really like the second Spider-Man movie.
Oh.
Spider-Man Far From
Far
Home.
From Home was good.
Yeah.
Far From Home I really liked. After for a while there I was only watching Marvel movies. Really. I mean we bought the projector to watch the new Marvel TV shows. So I think I'd probably have to go with Spider-Man Far From Home. That was a really fun movie to watch.
Yeah.
But really there's no other movies that were catching my eye that I really wanted to go see. Like I didn't see Star Wars when it came out. I watched it post-quarantine.
Truth be told, I'm not like a huge movie guy. I end up getting like dragged to movies a lot. Like with other people, because seeing movies with a group is always more fun.
Wait, have you guys seen Clerks?
With what's his name, Kevin James?
Nah,
No.
Kevin James isn't in that movie.
Not Kevin James.
Kevin Smith
Kevin
is in that movie.
Smith.
You thinking
I don't
Kevin
know why I
Smith?
said Kevin
I've seen
James.
that like a long time ago. I barely remember a thing about it.
That is my favorite movie of all times. And I know it just blows my color theory out of the window because it's a black and white movie.
Yeah, I was gonna
But
say.
that movie is so good. He sold his whole comic book collection to make that movie.
And now he's making a sequel.
He's already made a sequel. There's going to be a third movie.
Incredible.
The sequel is not as good as the first one, but it's still fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, movies.
Yeah.
Movies are really wild if you think about it.
Truly.
If you guys could make a movie, what genre movie would you guys want to make?
Oh my
got-
man! If I could make a movie, it would be a space opera. I'm
Yo.
talking.
Space opera.
Yes.
Oh my! All right. It would so you would have dude spaceships. So it would be like a thing spanning the whole galaxy, dude. You would have the. Have you guys ever seen like The Expanse?
I've heard nothing but good things about The Expanse. It is something I probably should watch.
I've never seen these.
Yeah, I haven't. I got to catch up on most of it, but it's a pretty good sci-fi story. It's a space opera too. But if you guys
From
haven't
what I
seen it-
understand, it starts off pretty good, and then it just literally ramps up to like 11. I don't know.
Is it a TV show?
yeah,
Yeah, it's on Sci-Fi, which is
Oh.
incredible. Yeah, like you know what the deal with Sci-Fi is. Like they're kind of like B movies and like like some.
Oh, one of my favorite shows is from Sci-Fi. Warehouse 13.
I think you brought this up like last week. I still don't know what
Yeah.
you're talking about.
It's a super great TV show, but it's not a space opera. So let's continue with space operas.
Right.
yeah, dude, man. Space operas. You always not always, but most of the time you got a whole bunch of different factions with beautiful, amazing, deep characters in every faction, and they're all against each other for whatever reason, and they've got an intertangled web of relationships. Like, oh, the ace pilot from this faction, he's fighting against his brother who's on the other side, and his brother really loves him, and he doesn't know he's fighting his brother. And you got all kinds of just crazy, just sometimes cheesy relationships going on, but it's space operas, man. I love them.
So like what you're telling me is that like you've already got a script written.
No.
All right.
That'd be kind of cool
Yeah.
though.
I'm trying to think of something to recommend in that vein, but I'm sure you've already probably seen everything or read everything. I mean, are you a Dune? Did you read Dune with us, Sam?
Yeah, I read Dune.
And it
Dune
because
is
it's
one
not
of
really
the-
a space
It's-
opera. It's
I would
different.
say it is. I would.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah, I mean, it mostly takes place on like one planet. Doesn't really not much going on in space or whatever.
Well, that's for like the first book though,
Yeah.
because it's kind of like the universe kind of opens up later on. Especially now that I'm on the 5th book, Like there's like it's like way in the future, and like all the factions have basically been influenced by the events of like the first couple, and now they're all like sort of competing, and like they all are like trying to like there's all this like espionage. They're all trying to figure out what's going on with each other. I actually think you might like this one the best, Sam.
You think so?
I don't know. It's dense, and I'm kind of behind, and like haven't been consistent with it, so I'm lost. But you know, we're making moves.
Big moves out in Amish. But space opera, dude, that's pretty dope. It's a good pick.
I think it's a very good pick.
But how about you two?
Yes, AJ, what do you think?
In terms of what my favorite movie is, or what my favorite.
If you
genre?
could make a movie, what kind of movie?
Yeah, I'm a huge sci-fi fan. Like, as well. I think there's like virtually limitless possibilities you can come up with like a really well made like space, not even an opera, just like a space universe type thing. You know what I mean? Like every time something comes out, it always manages to like get my interest. Like I don't know. I mean, like even back to like the OG stuff with like Star Wars. You know, like I grew up on Star Wars, so like I absolutely have just an undying love for that kind of stuff. Number two, though, probably stuff like Fast and Furious, dude. Just because it's so much fun.
Yeah.
You just turn off your brain and tune in and just have cars crashing into each other and shit blowing up. Incredible.
I think I would want to make like a crime movie.
Damn.
Like a Casino or a Goodfellas.
Goodfellas
And but, like,
is a vintage hood classic. Yeah, it is.
Classic, dude. We making prison sauce. The gravy. Oh, but going back to space operas, because I think I have a space opera to recommend you guys. Have you guys ever heard of this book series called Animorphs?
Oh my god.
Did you guys know that book? The books are about genocide
And aliens, yeah.
genocide and aliens and gods. Sam, did you know any of
really
this?
dark.
No, I've read like a single Animorphs book, and it wasn't even in order. It was like I just read number 7 out of order, and that was it.
So it turns out like it's basically Power Rangers with genocide. A little alien comes down from space and was like, "Hey, you guys have powers to transform into animals now. Any animal you can touch, you can become, or something like that." But also, there's these mind infecting like leeches from space, and they're coming to take over your world. Figure it out, bye. And all these kids get completely destroyed and traumatized and become like horrible people by the end of the books. It's pretty crazy.
That's very dark.
Yeah, at one point they kill like 10 million of these creatures. Like just a complete genocide. They just flush them into space.
You gotta do what you gotta do, right?
Dude, it's wild. One of the kids, like in the first book, gets stuck in an animal form for like 4 books. And then it turns out his dad's a god. It's just wild. It's literally like Stephen King wrote a children's book.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Stephen King did a lot of drugs, dude.
I had no clue, dude, how crazy this... It's literally like, if going into space has anything to do with being a space opera, it's probably a space opera. Because they go into space a lot. It is just bonkers.
All right. Well, I do have one thing to say to the two of you. Are you willing to watch a TV show? You can say no.
Depends on the show.
The show is Survivor.
Are you asking if I want to watch 14 episodes or 14 seasons of a TV show?
No. And it's not
There's
14
more than 14
Sam,
seasons, by the way.
there's 40 seasons.
Oh, okay. Pardon.
Yeah,
Excuse
come on,
me.
dude. Are you willing to watch one season?
Yeah, sure.
Feel free to say no. Oh my god, he said yes.
I will only watch it. If
I
Max
kind of feel like I
watches it.
have to watch it now.
I think it would be interesting
Or what's going
to
on?
watch one.
What's going on with this the new Survivor I've been hearing people talk about? My new Survivor, mean the 2014 Fantasy Survivor.
What does that mean?
Neither of you ever heard of it?
2014
Yeah.
fantasy?
Oh man, yeah. So
Sam,
some mutual
what?
acquaintances of ours have been talking about Survivor, right? And they're like, they apparently made one season. It's called like The Quest, and it's like Survivor, but it's fantasy, and it's bad, but it's amazing.
Are you talking
It's like
about?
Kid Nation, but
Wait, are you talking about
fantasy.
that? Was that Cartoon Network show? No, because that was
No,
Total
no.
Drama Island. That was different,
The
right?
Quest was on ABC summer 2014. It was a fantasy reality series, and apparently it was like Survivor. And a lot of our mutual acquaintances have just been watching that recently, and they can't
What?
stop.
Who?
You know,
Young Zanzibar?
I think so actually, yeah. And
So wait, what's this show?
so I myself haven't seen it yet. This has
Okay.
been like a recent acquisition, like as of like today, like yesterday, for example.
I'm out of the loop, man.
It's a fantasy-based competition series, man.
Now you say fantasy based. What does that mean?
It's like LARPing, right?
Yeah,
they're
basically, like they've got like
LARPing?
straight up like so it takes place at like a castle or around a castle, right? And people are all dressed up in costumes and whatnot, and they've got full on like ogres and goblins and just regular peasants or whatever, and like queens and royalty,
Is
and you just have to take challenges. And people get like some people get really into the LARP, like it's the same thing as Survivor, right? Where you have like the interviews with the different contestants, and then some of them are like
yeah.
you just got normal people.
Yeah, you got normal people
Yeah,
and you got people who are like just
yeah.
totally absorbed in the game.
Exactly. You've got some
So
people who are
wait,
just like evolved
is
athletes, and the other people who are just turbo nerds, and they're all in the same space competing.
is it scripted though?
I don't think so. No, like this is actually a competition.
So it's so it's like it's a legit like
Yeah,
reality like
yeah.
competition game show.
It's just with this fantasy
Yeah, it's
backdrop
just like
LARP going on at the same time.
What? I've never heard of this.
Neither have I until just like yesterday.
I mean, if everyone else is watching it, I'd be willing to give it a shot.
Might as well, right?
Max, thoughts?
I don't know. Maybe I'll watch it. You see, I'm not really like. I don't have a lot of time.
Right.
But if we're gonna make it like a thing where like we have to watch an episode every week, I can make time
That's fine.
to watch it so we can talk about it on the pod. I'm fine with that.
I'd be willing to do that over Survivor. Survivor's weird.
Weird.
I just have a
I mean, I'm fine with either or. We can do Survivor or this Knight's Quest. Or
Nah,
whatever
let's
it's
do
called.
let's do the quest, Sam. I'm into that.
Oh boy. Yeah, because none of us have really seen it, so
No.
we could for better or worse, we could check it out.
Sounds good, man.
I mean, yeah, sure. I'm working from home this week, so if we want to start it, I can watch the first couple episodes, like get ready, and then we could just do like one episode a week and we talk about it.
All right.
Yeah.
Sounds like a pretty good idea for continuation, a new segment on the pod.
Love it, dude. Oh, speaking of segments, dude, no caveman this week?
We're gonna take a little break from Caveman this week.
I think that's fair. We had a big week,
The,
dude, with the
the next-
postcards. My God.
I don't know.
Yeah, dude, we just got overwhelmed by the amount of postcards we did
Yeah,
this week.
shout out to everybody who helped us participate. I mean, this was a banger of an episode.
Straight banger, dude. Straight banger. So if we're already thinking that this is a straight banger, are we going into what we learned today?
I think we could, or alternatively, we could touch upon one of the lovely topics that you brought forth to us this week. If you feel like any of them are time sensitive, but I think we might have also touched on everything. I don't know.
Why don't we just do theme songs real quick?
Okay.
Rapid fire theme songs?
Rapid fire theme
Okay,
songs.
this is the plot, right? You have one song that is your theme song for life. That's your walkout music. What is your walkout music?
All right, clarification question.
Yeah.
Is it like an established theme song, or can it be any song?
It can
At
be any
all.
song that is your any sound can be your
So
walkout.
like you're saying, if life is like a reality show, and like every time you appear on a scene, this song is gonna play.
Yeah, like you're going into WrestleMania. This is the song that's gonna play.
All right. Do you have an answer to that one?
Yeah. Oh, huh,
Uh,
pardon
oh, go
me.
ahead, Sam.
No, go
All
ahead, Sam.
right.
Sam, no, you're
So
starting
my
this.
answer, straight off the bat, you guys know Giles' theme. I think if
What?
you had to have one song
Yeah.
playing at any time, that is the song right there. All right.
Dude,
I
that's
feel like
so epic. That's
I
so
could take on
Sam.
the world if I'm playing that song.
What's your answer?
Giles theme,
Giles
Giles theme.
theme
I
from
don't even know how to
Street Fighter?
pronounce it.
From
It's just,
what's
it's
that
just
from?
Street Fighter.
Street Fighter.
Have I heard? Oh, I've 100% heard that. It's the
Yeah, it's like
iconic
the most popular.
Okay, I know which one it is. I'm gonna look it up. That's the one. That's the. Yep. Sam, that's a very powerful option because there's just like there's such power to that
Oh
beat.
yeah.
Like that whole tune is just very, yeah, iconic. I would say. That's a great call. And you came up with that on the dot, man. I applaud you.
He knew.
Sam had the answer.
He knew.
Max, where are
I
you
think
at? I still got to
My
think.
theme song is gotta be Kyle. He's a rapper. One of his songs called "Nothing to Lose."
Mm,
It's talking about how he really has nothing to lose, and
okay.
it's like a real fun, upbeat kind of song, but it's like really hypey, and it just really describes how I live my life very fast and very loose.
Hmm.
So I think it's a perfect song.
But wait,
But
Max.
it's not as good as Guile's theme.
Well,
Holy
wait a sec,
smokes,
Max.
that's a good idea.
You're one of the most like organized and structured people I know.
Oh, I'm running fast and loose all the time, boy.
Have you
At least that's what I think.
have you ever met Evan?
Okay, Evan is running fast and loose. Sorry, Evan.
Shout out to Evan, man. Not in a bad way, just That's fine.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's probably because I like that song because I like to think I run my life fast and loose, but really I'm not.
All right. I
Very structured, and I take very calculated risks.
That's fair. I mean, as you get older, that's what you got to do. You got
It's
to
pretty boring though.
Well, no, dude, pros and cons. Because, like, okay, for example, right? I took a calculated risk down in Atlanta. Okay, the calculated risk was getting completely inebriated off of White Claws. All right. The pros were that I feel really good, and we were gonna go out and get Waffle House once we got drunk enough. The cons
Uh-huh.
were, number one, you're gonna wake up with a hangover and feel terrible on the next day when we had a lot to do. And number two, not that I knew it at the time, but the Waffle House was closed. Can you imagine a Waffle House being closed?
In Georgia, Waffle House being closed. That's
this
so
is in
crazy.
Atlanta, Georgia, and there wasn't a hurricane going on. There wasn't like a tornado. There wasn't like, like I don't know, like riots. Okay,
Maybe the workers walked out.
we went there at like 2:30 in the morning, just like totally like blitzed, and it was closed. And you know what the craziest thing was? We weren't the only ones there. There was like groups coming in and out, like rolling up to this place, and the doors were just locked, and everyone was just like in varying states of like
Being drunk.
yeah, disruption, being drunk, being on various substances, and we were all just like, what the hell? It's closed.
What if like all the workers walked out? Because every time I go to the Waffle House, every worker is threatening to quit.
I honestly get it. Minimum wage is too low in this country.
Yeah.
Which is bullshit because retail workers and service workers work the hardest out of anybody. Anybody who mistreats them should probably be like, strung up by their toes.
Sam.
But
I'm sorry?
yeah, that's not what we're here for.
What?
Sam doesn't mistreat retail workers. He was a retail worker.
Exactly.
It doesn't
That would
change
never
anything.
recover.
What do you mean doesn't change anything? Back.
So is Waffle House at 2 a.m. your theme song?
If there was a way to condense that into sound, maybe. Although my real answer to that is probably the Halo theme Mjolnir mix,
Oh, that's
because
a good one.
wow.
every time I hear
That's-
it, it gives me goosebumps. Although I would say that's probably disallowed because it's like the Master Chief's theme, I guess. But then Sam also,
No, it's your theme now.
well, Sam also picked someone else's theme, so
Yeah.
there we go.
That's just your theme song. That's your walkout music,
Oh my
dude.
god, yeah. That's just the most epic piece of like, music ever composed, as far as I'm concerned.
Shout out to Halo.
John Halo.
Shout out to John Halo.
Anyway, are you ready for me to tilt out when they inevitably reveal Halo Infinite in like a week from now and it's crap?
It's gonna be okay,
Dude,
it's just like Star Wars. A Halo is good because it's a Halo.
No.
I'm gonna use that
Sam, if it's-
excuse every. I am now on board permanently with Halo Infinite. Anytime any of you say it's bad, I'm just gonna use the Star Wars arguments.
Sam, if it's bad, I straight up might not play it.
But AJ, you just gotta turn your brain off, bro.
No, Sam, I don't have the time, dude. I just don't have the time for a bad game. I'm being honest with you, man. Like back in the day, yeah, I'd play anything because like I had unlimited time and unlimited like brain cells. But like, dude, that's what I've come to realize now that I play a lot less. It's just like I do not have the time for bad games and games I don't like. I'm sorry, it's just how it is.
It just be like that.
Even though my favorite game is a bad game.
What's your favorite
It's called Tank Game,
Oh,
and it's Russian malware, and
Ready
it
to
steals all my
suffer.
time and money.
Are you talking about War Thunder?
Yeah, I actually love.
All right,
We're
we're closing it. You're getting into gamer territory.
oh, yeah, the producer dude, he's cutting us off.
Dude, shout out to gamers, dude. We all hate gamers.
once again, Max's views don't represent the rest of the podcast.
Yeah,
I don't know. I did remember hearing that very choice comment you made about gamers earlier, Sam.
Wait, no, that was taken out of context.
I don't know. We're gonna play the tapes back later, probably.
we're all about inclusivity on this podcast,
True.
so you're just gonna have to.
I'm gonna spend like 30 hours trying to compile clips of Sam just so it says "I hate gamers" in his voice. We can throw it in right there, but we won't actually do that. So,
We might.
anyways, boys, I think it's time. I think it's time to learn what we learned today. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's about that time.
Sam, you always got to start us off.
All right, start us off. I learned that Max would rather be slaving away at work than tucked into a small space, getting covered and drenched in water with the boys.
Solid. That's a solid one. That's solid. AJ, what do you got?
I discovered that the postcards that we got sent today were just some of the most well thought out, incredible forms of media I've ever received and have completely enriched the experience I had today.
That's very sweet.
That is another solid one. Another solid one. I learned that Sam really hates gamers. We hate all gamers. Gamers should be abolished.
I'm
Thank
gonna
you.
edit
Have a
that
good
out.